Educational Communications and this station present Environmental Directions with Nancy Pearlman. On this series, we explore the effects of human influence on the Earth's ecosystems and discuss solutions to environmental problems which affect the quality of life on this planet. Environmental Directions gives you the kind of information you need to help you participate in decisions impacting your community, the nation, and the world. Now, here's your host, Nancy Pearlman.
Hello. We're going to be talking about mountain lions with my guest, Brent Lyles. He is Executive Director of the Mountain Lion Foundation. He has worked in environmental and science education and led many environmental and conservation organizations, including being the former Executive Director of Friends of the San Juans up in Washington State and former staff member for Bat Conservation International out of Austin, Texas, and former Executive Director of the Colorado River Alliance in Texas, and that's the Colorado River in Texas, as well as former Executive Director of Austin Youth River Watch. Welcome. It's a pleasure to have you with us.
Thanks so much, Nancy. It's great to be here talking about mountain lions.
I love cats. I have domesticated cats, and yet I'd love to see a wild mountain lion, but I've never been able to see one in the wild. I look at their pictures. They look like a big cat. How big are they? What do they look like? And where can we find them?
If you picture a domestic short-haired cat, a mountain lion looks a lot like that in terms of its body shape, but it's much bigger. The males can be over 100 pounds, so this is a large animal. Now, you're not alone in the fact that you haven't seen one because very few people ever do. There's a great story I read recently about a researcher. He works for the National Park Service in the Santa Monica Mountains, monitoring the mountain lions there. And he tells a story of being within a couple dozen yards of a mountain lion, and he's got his radio transmitter, and he's picking up the signal from the collar on the mountain lion, and he knows it's close to him, but he still can't see it. So even when we know they're there, they're hard to see. These are very elusive creatures. Now, you were asking what they look like. Like I say, they've got the body shape of a domestic short hair, but much bigger. Their color is typically all tan, kind of a tawny color. Depending on where they live, they might be a little bit lighter or a little bit darker. Sometimes they'll have a black tip at the end of their tail. Mountain lions are just gorgeous. Here at the Mountain Lion Foundation, we get pictures of them sent to us. It's a lot of fun to see what people are picking up on their trail cameras and that kind of thing.
They can be over 100 pounds?
That's right. You also asked where they live. Now, mountain lions historically and prehistorically lived throughout North and South America. And except for the very coldest parts, they were pretty much everywhere. Mountain lions can live and thrive wherever they have enough prey to eat, where they've got water to drink, and where they've got shrubs or other things that they can hide behind. A mountain lion is a hunter that sneaks up on its prey and pounces. So it needs brush that it can hide behind or rocky ledges that it can hide behind. In the United States, they live mostly in the western half of the United States, though there is one population, the Florida panther, in Florida.
You mentioned the panther, which is a mountain lion, and in other places they're called cougars or pumas, many different names.
That's right. I heard one time that the mountain lion has more names for it than any other animal.
They are so important to the ecosystem because they are one of the top predators, and that is necessary to keep the other animals in check. And yet, humans are always afraid of predators like mountain lions, wolves, and we put bounties on them. We have had laws encouraging people to kill mountain lions, and yet we should leave them in the wild, shouldn't we?
There are laws in most of the states where mountain lions live that allow mountain lion hunting. There are occasional times when a mountain lion poses some kind of immediate public safety threat. And there are moments like that when a mountain lion does need to be relocated or otherwise removed. But for the most part, these animals are not interested at all in being where people are or in threatening people. The Mountain Lion Foundation, we look across the landscape of the United States and we see a lot of places where needless killing is happening and ruthless killing is happening, and that's what we're all about. The Mountain Lion Foundation's mission is to make sure that mountain lions survive and thrive in the wild.
Some mountain lions struggle to survive because their habitat has shrunk, and one of the most famous is P22 that was in Los Angeles, crossed over freeways, 16 lanes of cars, ended up in Griffith Park, survived for quite a bit until its health required humans to capture it and euthanize it. Could you tell us about P22?
Sure. P22 is a mountain lion that, as a very young cat, he was leaving his home territory and looking for a place to settle down. What makes P22's story amazing is that he crossed one of the busiest highways in the country outside of Los Angeles, in the Los Angeles area, and then settled in Griffith Park for the rest of his life, which is one of the busiest municipal parks in the country. And here's a mountain lion that was living in close proximity to hundreds of thousands of people. For his entire life, he was practically unseen. And when people did see him, it was kind of like a celebrity sighting. So you would get pictures of P22 on Facebook and things like that. And for me, the lesson and the really heartwarming thing about P22's story is that it shows that coexistence with mountain lions is not just possible, it's easy. All we needed to do was leave P22 alone and he would do his thing. He really was not a threat to people or to our dogs and cats or anything like that. It was only at the very end of his life when he had suffered injuries from getting hit by a car and was also showing some very debilitating signs of old age that his behavior started changing.
Are we finding conservation legislators who are introducing bills to get rid of the bounties on mountain lions so that the mountain lions can continue to survive without our killing them?
Well, fortunately, the bounty program and the bounties on mountain lions, that era of bounties is really behind us. When those bounties were happening and when hunting of mountain lions was unregulated, mountain lions were killed so fast that they were practically driven to the brink of extinction. Happily, in the United States, as a community, we have backed off. And today, for the most part, where mountain lion hunting happens, it is very tightly regulated. And as a result, mountain lion populations have been able to rebound.
But this is a species where scientists really don't know how many exist in the wild because they are so elusive. They obviously stay away from humans, so we have no count. I mean, are there 10,000 mountain lions, 100,000? Any estimate at all?
An estimate that I heard recently is that in the United States and Canada, there's about 30,000 mountain lions.
That's not a lot of animals in a gigantic area.
It is not a lot of animals in a gigantic area. That is absolutely right. Now understand that for a mountain lion, they don't live densely. They tend to spread out. Mountain lion territories can be 100 square miles or more. Even if you have quote-unquote untouched wilderness out there, the density of mountain lions is not going to be very high. These are animals that spread themselves out. And you'll have a male mountain lion that overlaps territory with a handful of females, but otherwise the males are keeping their territory separate from each other and they're spreading out.
How many scientists are out there in the field doing actual research, or is most of the mountain lion information being obtained from captive mountain lions in zoos and other sanctuaries?
There are a fair number of scientists out there working on mountain lions, and one of the things that's exciting about the mountain lion world right now is that new technology has really come a long way in the last 10 to 15 years. I was at a conference hosted by the Wildlife Society, and I met so many grad students and other people that are early in their careers who are studying mountain lions. So we are learning a ton about mountain lions right now.
Is the basic threat now to mountain lions the fact that we are developing wild areas, we're not setting aside enough refuges and parks, that the animals that they might be killing to eat have been poisoned from humans putting out poisons for other animals that eat those, and then the mountain lions eat them. What is the current status about how to keep mountain lions healthy and see their populations grow?
Let me talk for a minute about the various threats to mountain lions. So you mentioned habitat loss, and that is certainly a threat to mountain lions, as it is to any of our wild species out there. As suburban areas have grown, we have lost habitat. And that doesn't just affect mountain lions, it affects entire ecosystems across the country. For mountain lions, a really important threat is that we don't coexist with them well yet. And I say yet because, as I mentioned earlier, it is actually pretty easy to coexist with mountain lions. But because there's so much fear and because there's so much misunderstanding about mountain lions, when mountain lions show up on the outskirts of a community, sometimes the first instinct is, oh, well, that's going to threaten us, we need to kill it. And that is really unfortunate. That is a threat to mountain lions. And that is something that the Mountain Lion Foundation addresses through our coexistence work. For instance, we will send a staff member out to a goat farmer who has lost a goat, and they want to be able to protect their goats from mountain lions. And the first question they ask sometimes is, hey, how can I get this mountain lion taken care of? How can I get it killed? But really, that doesn't solve the problem. What solves the problem is having a electric fence that keeps the mountain lion out, or a very tall fence that they can't jump over, or flashing lights. There's all kinds of non-lethal deterrents that we can use to protect our backyards and protect our livestock. As the understanding of coexistence spreads, that is how we will remove that threat to mountain lions. Now, there's other threats to mountain lions too. So, for instance, mountain lions get killed when they're trying to cross roads. Certainly, major highways are a big threat to mountain lions, as they are to a lot of wildlife.
They need the wildlife crossings.
Wildlife crossings are really important, not just to help animals be able to cross those roads safely, but there is a population of mountain lions in the Olympic Mountains in Washington state. Within the forested areas of the Olympic Peninsula, there is a fairly healthy population of mountain lions. But there is a highway that runs from the Seattle area straight south through Portland, Oregon, and further south. It's the Interstate 5 corridor. That is a really difficult barrier for mountain lions to cross. Not only is that a challenge for a young mountain lion that's looking for new territory or just looking for food or whatever, but it also means that that population that lives in the Olympic Peninsula gets isolated. And when a population is isolated, it tends to become inbred over time. And then that can lead to a lower health for the entire population of mountain lions. And so crossings are important for safety. They're really important for human safety. It's kind of staggering how many people are injured or lose their lives because they've hit a deer along the highway, right? But then it's also important to help maintain the health of mountain lion populations wherever they occur.
As with so much wildlife conservation work, the public doesn't totally understand the animals involved, the ecosystems. There's a lot of misinformation. What misinformation do you want to correct?
Nancy, there is so much misinformation out there about mountain lions. And for us at the Mountain Lion Foundation, that is a big focus of what we do, is acting as a resource for accurate and scientifically up-to-date information about mountain lions, where they live, what the threats are, how people can coexist with mountain lions, whether they're living in mountain lion territory along their backyard or whether they've got goats that they're raising. This is so important that over time we change our attitudes about mountain lions and about ecosystems and the wild in general. We are becoming a society that is learning to live in balance with nature. That is happening, and it's so gratifying for me to be part of that, helping people understand the truth about mountain lions.
There's so much to understand. You have been involved with many other groups trying to save ecosystems, wildlife in those places, from the San Juan Islands in Washington State to bats out of Austin, Texas, to the Colorado River, the one in Texas, not the one that is more famous for those of us here in Southern California. Why are you now focusing on mountain lions? So many different animals and wildlife need your help, need your work.
You know, Nancy, I often think back to this book that I had when I was a kid. I had a little book about mountain lions, and I have always found them fascinating. And coming aboard at the Mountain Lion Foundation has been such a thrill for me because I'm working on protecting a species that I really care about, and I feel like as an organization, this is where I can really have an impact, a personal impact. I can do good. That's why I do what I do.
I want to thank you so very much for trying to save and protect the mountain lions so that they can survive and be an important part of the ecosystem so that we can enjoy having these animals in our lives. Thank you very much for being my guest.
Nancy, thank you so much for having me. There's so much more we didn't talk about, and I would really love to, if I may, refer people to our website, which is mountainlion.org. And folks can sign up for our email list. They can be part of the conversation. We can let them know when legislation is happening in their state that they might want to weigh in on. We're all in this together, and protecting mountain lions is something that the Mountain Lion Foundation doesn't do this alone. We've got a lot of partners out there. We've got a lot of members out there. We've got a lot of people who really care about these important animals.
Indeed, more people need to be involved. Thank you. I have been speaking with Brent Lyles, Executive Director of the Mountain Lion Foundation. I'm Nancy Perlman. Thank you very much for joining us, and do tune in again next week.
If you would like free information about these environmental issues, go to www.ecoprojects.org or call 310-559-9160. Environmental Directions with your host, Nancy Perlman, is a community affairs program of the nonprofit organization Educational Communications and this station.